Didn't you hear Mrs. Madiman had a baby boy named him Rocky? Annie says. She wipes the sweat off her forehead. They have a bunch of relatives over to see the new baby, and Teresa and Jimmy have to entertain their cousins. Piper looks from me to Natalie and back again. Can't your mom watch her? She asks. She teaches piano lessons. How often? Every day, I mutter, glancing back at Natalie, who is using her dress to fan herself. We all get a good look at her ruffled underwear. Thank goodness she put it on. She better not do that when the cons are around, Annie says. They can't actually see us, right? I ask. Right, Piper says. Come on, they'll be up soon. The path is narrow here, so we go single file. Piper, then me, then Annie, then Nat. I've never walked over here, and suddenly it seems like a bad idea. I'm wondering if maybe I should turn around when I see a huge chain-link fence that blocks our path. The fence is maybe 12 or 14 feet high, with 3 strands of barbed wire run across the top. It goes up the hill where it connects to the rec yard wall, and down the hill as far as I can see, maybe even to the water, though I can't tell from here. In the distance, on the other side of the fence, I see the steps that lead to the rec yard. High up in the corner of the rec yard is a guard tower no bigger than a one-man ticket booth. I imagine there's a guard with a Browning automatic training his sights on the convicts, watching to make sure they don't pull any funny business. That where they go up, I ask? Piper doesn't answer. She's fiddling with the lock, a key in her hand. A big drop of sweat drips down my face. More drops follow and my legs go stiff. You have the key? My voice croaks. Piper takes one look at me and snorts. Of course. You can't see him very well unless you go close. We do this all the time, Annie says. Her voice is kind. But can't the convicts see you? Nope. Not where we stand, Piper says. But we gotta get in position before they come up the stairs. That's the important thing. Well, you go ahead. I'll stay here. I try to make my voice strong and clear. I can't take Natalie, up there. Natalie? Like she has anything to do with it. Chicken. Bark, bark, bark. Piper clucks, flapping her arms. Come on, Annie. She spits in the bushes. We're late. I watch them until they disappear behind a bush. Would you get a load of that guy? I hear Piper say. Piper, give it a rest, Annie says. Natalie and I settle on our side of the fence. I climb the hill to a spot that seems safe. Nat is still standing up. Nat, get down, I tell her. Natalie's eyes pass over me the way an electric fan moves on its course. But to my surprise, she gets down. We settle in, huddled together on our bellies in the small space, which gives us good cover and a faraway view of the steps going up. I definitely don't want to be any closer. For once, I'm actually glad Natalie's with me. Piper would have been 10 times pushier if Nat hadn't been there, and Annie was clearly on my side. We don't hear anything but birds chirping, the lap of the water against the shore, and the revving of a boat I don't see. Sound is strange near the water. Sometimes faraway things sound close, and then I hear a dull, steady pounding sound, footsteps, dozens of them. Then the first head pops into view, a dark gray officer's hat, and another, then white hats, denim shirts, and pants. White hats, denim shirts, and pants. I strain to make out faces, but we're much too far away. One of those guys has a big scar down the side of his face. That's Al Capone, I whisper to Natalie. I wonder if Piper and Annie are close enough to spot Capone. I wonder if they can see the 85 printed on his back. The first guard stops at the top of the stairs. He steps aside and lets the prisoners pass one by one through the recreation yard door until only the guard is left. He takes one look down the steps and across to the industry buildings. Why is he doing that? Doesn't he already know they're all inside? Nat is on her belly behind me, running her hand over the dirt, organizing it in little piles. She doesn't notice the men. She doesn't notice anything. She could be anywhere. Anywhere there's dirt. Chapter 16. Capone washed your shirts. Monday, January 14th, 1935. The next Monday, I'm in a really grumpy mood on account of it's baseball day for everyone except me. I hardly notice putting on my first convict wash shirt. It's only after I get it on that I even remember. I take the shirt off and inspect it, but I don't find anything unusual. It's my shirt, and it's clean, and that's about it. At breakfast, my mom doesn't say anything about finding extra clothes in our bags, so either my mom hasn't put the laundry away yet, or more likely, Piper got them out before my mom even saw them. Piper is quite the criminal. When I get on the boat, there she is with 3 laundry bags. Then Jimmy and Annie pile on board, thumping their bags down by Piper. Piper's on her hands and knees on the deck. What are you doing? I ask. Too many to carry. She sits on one bag to smash the shirts down so she can add another on top of the stack. Another stack on top. Unless, of course, you'll help. How did you get them home? I ask. As if you care. I was just wondering, I say, when I notice Mr. Trixel dressed in civilian clothes. Day off, I guess. I sure wish my father would get a day off. When I asked him about it, he said, criminals are criminals every day of the week. They don't take a day off, so I can't either. Why are you bringing laundry to school? Mr. Trixel asks without taking his cigarette out of his mouth. It's a science project, Piper explained. We're comparing the weight of dry cloth to the weight of wet cloth. Clever. Mr. Trixel looks at Annie and Jimmy and me. But I thought you kids went to different schools. Citywide project, Piper says. All the 7th grade science classes in San Francisco have to do it. Mr. Trixel shakes his big head and takes a drag on his cigarette. You got an answer for everything, don't you, Piper? He breathes the smoke out of his nose, just like your old man. Piper nods. Yes, sir, she says. When the boat docks at Fort Mason, Piper has the laundry in 3 fully stuffed bags. This is still too much for her to carry. It's not like she has dead bodies in there or anything, and I did promise the warden I'd help her. I pick up 2 bags and carry 1 under each arm. Piper smiles at me, like she won. I pretend not to notice. Mr. Trixel didn't believe that story about the science project, I tell her. Didn't check the bags, did he? I shake my head. Well, then he couldn't have been that suspicious. When we get to school, I wonder what she's going to do now. There's not enough time to give the clothes back before the bell, but apparently Piper has already figured this out. She walks right into the home economics room and unlocks the supply closet. Does this girl have keys to everything? My plan is to stay away from her. I helped her get the stupid bags in, now I'm done. But at lunch, when I see her in the cafeteria with the laundry bags, I find myself drifting over there. Moose, guess what? Scout calls as he runs through the cafeteria. You got your Tuesday game. I traded babysitting with this kid in my neighborhood. Stanford can't make it, but everyone else is on. I thump my chest like an ape and smile so big it feels like my face is splitting in 2. If you were a girl, I'd give you a big sloppy kiss, I say. Did my best, guy. I like to please the folks who bunk with criminals. Do you mind? Piper barks. I'm conducting business here. You get your shirt back, Scout? I ask. Yep. He nods to me as Piper hands a neatly folded shirt to the fat kid, Diekman. Hey, Diekman says. This is just clean. Yeah, so? Piper says. No blood spatters, no bullet holes, nothing? Another kid asks. Al Capone laundered that shirt, Piper says. It's a collector's item. Well, how do we know that? Diekman asks. A girl blows air out of her mouth. Sure doesn't look like it, she says. What did you expect? Piper asks. She snatches the shirt out of her hands and holds it up so everyone can see. Al Capone's fingerprints are on that sleeve. The sweat of his brow dropped on this pocket. Piper's clearly gone too far. Now she's selling Al's sweat? The girl inspects the shirt again. She shakes her head, her eye twitching. I didn't pay a nickel to have my blouse washed, says another girl, who had made Piper promise her blouse wouldn't come back with 1 single drop of blood on it. Yes, you did, I say. Dell cuts in front of the line. Nobody minds. In fact, they seem relieved, like they're waiting for him to take a stand. He plants his feet. How do we know you didn't have your mom wash these? Hey, Scout says. Don't talk to her that way. She told you Capone washed them? Capone washed them. Piper beams at Scout. Here's your ticket. There's your proof. Piper says. Dell grabs the ticket. He reads it out loud. Alcatraz laundry number 015032. Then he shows it to all of us. That could have come off anything, he announces. You could have picked it up off the ground. Yeah, but I didn't, Piper says. Yeah, but you could have, Dell says. Take it easy, Dell, Scout says. This seems to get Dell's attention. He looks at Scout, then back at Piper. I want my money back, he tells her. Sorry, no refunds, Piper says. Well, I'm not doing this again, Piper, Dell says. He's got the bulk of his big self in Piper's face. I got plenty better things to do with my nickels. Lucky thing, too, because that was the one and only opportunity you'll ever have in your whole entire lifetime. You can tell your grandchildren about it, Piper says. Yeah, right, Dell mutters. I'll tell them about a brown-haired girl who took our whole 7th grade class to the cleaners.